Okay, so this is the overview of the case. So the case was between American Airlines and the United States, and it was over the determination of legal responsibility for the crash of American Airlines Flight 383. So what happened was the wife of one of the passengers sued the government, and then later on they both tried to sue American Airlines. So because it was found to be under their provision. So overall, the core legal question was whether liability rested with American Airlines pilots or with federal employees. So American Airlines' argument was that the ATC and the Weather Bureau was a negligence because they failed to inform the pilots on adverse weather conditions, and they give a difficult and faulty clearance to the plane itself. So the overall argument was that the airline asserted extreme unreported weather conditions, which confused the pilots and made their judgment flawed as a result. Overall, the government and Ms. O'Crazy won because of lack of evidence that there was adverse weather conditions that day, and lack of evidence of faulty information and faulty ATC clearances. It was found that the responsibility rested solely on the pilots in command, and that there was also no evidence of any mechanical errors as well. So this case was deemed directly as a result of pilot error, and thus it made the airline responsible and completely liable for this accident. And this is a position 2 argument, the government's position. So their position was that it was actually the pilots who had the final authority of the aircraft accident, and because of that, it was the airline who was solely responsible. They actually are able to refute both the weather claim and the fact that the instruments were faulty, because witnesses reported that the weather was actually not as bad as the airline stated, and because witnesses did not report any downdrafts or anything that the American Airlines lawyers stated. So overall, the conclusion was that the evidence showed that the descent rate and crash resulted from pilot error only, undermining the airline's weather-related and ATC-based defenses. Alright, so here are some of the key laws and regulations at stake. First is a pilot command authority, which is 14 CFR 91-3, which states that the PAC is directly responsible for and for the final authority of aircraft operations, and that they may deviate from ATC instructions to ensure safety. This relates to this accident because even though the pilots did think that the ATC gave them faulty clearance, or that the airline did, so the pilots did have the authority to override them because of this regulation. Furthermore, it also deemed that the ATC did not give bad clearances, but if they did give faulty information, that does not affect the pilot's judgment. So in this case, the PIC would be the one directly responsible for the accident. Furthermore, air traffic control and government liability, which shows that ATC has no legal duty to override PIC decisions. Ultimate responsibility remains with the pilots. So it's further reinforces this principle. Some tort law principles is that negligence arises as a party breaches to do care causing harm. So it shows that the PAC owes a duty to the passengers and crews, and the government, so ATC is also liable only if they breach organized duty. And the legal precedent is made by Airlines Inc. versus United States, so 14 F2D 180 and confirms PIC's final authority, eliminating ADC and government liability. And finally, we have the biblical perspective, which states that Proverbs 28:13. This verse shows that it is important to highlight fault, and that is what American Airlines did not do when they tried to shift the blame onto the government. Their claims were deemed futile, and instead of them admitting it, their claims made the public trust least in the airline. And Luke 12:48, so it shows that everyone with lots of responsibility will have people trust in them much more, which emphasizes the responsibility and accountability that the airlines have to the passengers and the crew.